What's up, y'all? We got my boy Branden Reese on the pod today. He's amassed over 275,000 followers across all platforms. He's been a personal trainer for more than 5 years, and he's a man led by his Christian faith. Check it out.
It's looking like a card of paparazzi. Two phones in my pocket, talking. Yeah, I got it. Black card in my wallet. If I want it, then I cop shotgun, ride shotty. I don't need nobody.
So the first thing we establish on the podcast is whether if we're drinking alcohol or if we're drinking caffeine, and because it's kind of a different vibe, right? Like caffeine will be a little bit more upbeat, and alcohol is a little more chill and lax, and people tend to kind of open up a little more with the alcohol. It's an interesting vibe at times. My friend that we were just speaking about, who's the real estate agent and real estate investor, we got to just cutting up and talking about old times because we had the little bit of alcohol flowing when we were doing it. But we got caffeine today. I got my coffee. He's got his energy drink. And by the way, that I'll cut this little piece out, but your intro, like me telling, I'll talk with you after on like what you want me to say for your intro, what you do, your career, and like how you want me to intro you, and I'll do that separate and just record it where it's just me on camera.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
But trivia is the first thing we do. I feel like it lightens the mood a little bit. It's really random. The questions are all over the place. So my boy Branden, I got 5 trivia questions for you. And typically what we do, it's if we're drinking, we'll take a shot if we lose, right? But there's no alcohol, so there's no punishment for losing either way. But if you get 1 or 2 questions out of 5, and that's all you get, then we'll just say technically, then you took the L today. And if you get 3 or 4, then we tie. If you get all 5, then you win.
Okay, cool. I'm really bad at trivia.
Hey, all good, man, because these are random, and hey, maybe the viewers will just learn a fun fact at the very least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe I will.
Okay, so first one, we're going to start with some bodybuilding knowledge. See if you get this one. So, who has more Mr. Olympia wins? Is it Ronnie Coleman or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Ronnie Coleman.
Correct. He's got 8. He's tied for the most ever, and Arnold has 7. So you're starting out 1 for 1. We're doing good, brother.
Good.
All right, number 2. Which country has the most Olympic gold medals of all time?
Man, I have no idea. The U.S. That's just a random guess. I don't know.
U.S.?
Yeah.
Correct. You got it.
Okay,
Hey.
cool. Guess does. Hey, root for the home team.
2 for 2. So, hey, that's a great start. Yeah, when I looked it up, I mean, the U.S., if you separate it by gold or if you separate it by silver or bronze or the total of all medals, we just demolish everybody. I mean, it's ridiculous how much ahead we are, which is
cool.
Pretty cool fact, yeah, to be that dominant. So, all right, number 3, is North Carolina north or south of the Mason-Dixon line? South?
Yeah.
Dude, you're 3 for 3.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
We're rolling. And for those who are unfamiliar, the Mason-Dixon line is back in the day what separated the South and North as far as who had slaves and didn't in the Civil War. So, all right, number 4. We're 3 for 3, dude. Hey, man, you can't beat that start. Wiz Khalifa released the song Black and Yellow in 2011, which is the year I graduated high school. What NFL team was this song for?
Steelers.
4 for 4.
Let's go.
My dude is rolling on the trivia. You said you weren't good at trivia? I don't believe you.
I'm usually not, I promise. I do a Bible trivia every day, Monday through Friday. I'm awful at that. So.
Hey, I probably need to do that myself. If you got any materials on that, send it my way. All right, number 5. So last one, dude. You could go 5 for 5, and then I'm just taking an L at this point. But this might be the hardest one because it's really off the wall. Crocodiles. So hold on, let me. I gotta tell you what we're talking about first.
Okay.
So this is 2 truths and a lie. So
Okay.
one of these things is a lie, and you got to tell me which one it is. Crocodiles cannot stick out their tongue. Octopus have 3 hearts. Or koala bears can only sleep 3 hours at a time. And I can repeat them if you want me to.
I know. Okay, so the first one was the truth. Alligators cannot stick out their tongue.
Okay.
Or crocodiles cannot stick out their tongue.
Okay.
That's the truth. Koala bears sounds like a lie. Octopus, I think they had 9 hearts. I think I heard somebody say that, or up to 9 hearts.
So this one, it says that they have 3, and then koalas can only sleep 3 hours at a time.
So the lie is the koala bears.
Dude, 5 for 5, man. Look at you, dog.
Heck yeah.
Hey, man.
I'm really bad at trivia. If you would have done like any kind of pop culture stuff, I'm surprised I knew the Wiz Khalifa one. That's only because I guess I was focused on that stuff at that small portion of my life.
Yeah.
When I was 11 years old, because I was like, just getting to that age. So cool.
Yeah, and the Super Bowl, sometimes for me, some Super Bowls stick out more than others for different reasons. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan, so that's going to really stick out to me compared to most people. But the song, I feel like, probably helps people tie it to that time. And black and yellow, I feel like it was a little bit of a hint on the team because they're black and yellow. There's only, I think it's the only black and the team that has black and yellow in their colors. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. There certain periods of your life, certain questions, you'd be like, oh, I got that. But at the same type of question for another, like the next 5 years, you'd be like, I have no idea.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll get into the first topic. But the first question to kind of jump into this topic I want to ask is, so what age did you start lifting?
Like lifting weights, I started at 18 years old. I literally went to the gym one time, like early high school, sophomore, I guess, and I couldn't even bench the bar. And then I went back. I started back at 18 years old.
Okay. So getting into that, what brought you back into it?
I had just been coming out of like a bad time in my life, like really, really low mentally, like disconnect. What is it called when you're like disconnected from reality? Like it's something, they call it something. And I think about I totally know, but I'm just blanking.
Like a technical term for it? Like a medical term for it?
It's a technical medical word for like a disconnection from reality. I don't remember what the word is. You can probably put it on screen later if you look it up or whatever. But
yeah,
it's something where you're disconnected from reality. So I was just disconnected from reality and didn't really understand. I felt different from everybody else. I ended up on drugs and I just had really bad anxiety. And I was homeschooled, and I think that played a part in just like being distant from everybody around me because other people my age I just didn't get along with. I was getting along with 40, 50-year-olds that I worked with better than like the kids that were coming in later. I just always felt different. I don't know. So I was coming out of a bad time in my life, and I decided to work on myself like in every way. So I quit eating candy, started eating more food. At this point, I was 5'11" and 95 pounds.
And this is 18 years old? Yeah,
18 years old. 5'11" and 95 pounds. I looked like I was probably 12 years old. Like if you were to look at my face, I mean, I was just malnourished. Like it was just really bad. So I decided to just fully work on myself. And I remember I was tanning, and it was like the first time like actually going outside and taking off. Like I would always wear, it doesn't matter what time of year it was, I was wearing sometimes 2 pairs of pants because I was embarrassed about how skinny my legs were. So I would double up on the pants to beef them up a little bit, literally in the hot summer. And then like a long sleeve shirt like this, and then a hoodie over it, just to make myself look as big as I could, because I was so embarrassed of how like small I was. And so I took off. I started to get comfortable going outside without stuff, and so I would starting that by tanning outside. And so I was laying out by the pool at my parents' house tanning, and I walked in like to go inside, and there was like a glass door to go back inside the house, and the sun was shining at a certain way where it reflected on this thing. It was like a mirror on me, and I saw like, I don't know what it was, but I saw like almost like potential. Like I saw myself a year later looking a lot better, and I was like, how do you do that? Like, how do you go from being skinny to gaining weight? Dude, I didn't even understand the concept. I thought like you were either born built, skinny, or fat. And the people that were born built happened to work out because they were built.
Yeah.
I didn't think they worked out to get built. Dude, I didn't understand any of it. So I went straight upstairs and I walked in there was like a weight room thing, and I looked up, can you lift weights to get big? And literally, like Athletics, I don't remember if you remember them. I think their names were like the Swole Dudes or something.
Athletics, I definitely remember. I still watch his stuff to this day sometimes.
Yeah,
So.
I watched all of it. He was coaching that other guy to gain muscle. I don't remember his name. I think it was Jesse. And so I was watching his videos where he was teaching him how to gain muscle. And I was like, I guess that's why I'm a trainer now, because I saw him training this other guy, and I was like, dude, that's fascinating. And so I was learning from him as he was coaching this other guy, and so I started applying that stuff to my own life. And yeah, it's just big snowball effect. Now I'm 24. I'll be 25 in June. Time goes by so fast. And yeah, now I work out every day. So
that's one of the most important things for people that are getting into it, is the consistency more so than, I think I saw in a recent video of yours, you talked about the consistency being more important than like just aggressive work every now and then.
Yeah,
and showing up every day, because, you know, like you said, time flies, and then you're going to turn around and you may, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm sure you're probably the same way. Like, we do this so much every day, and we pay attention to our health and the way we look. It seems sometimes like we're not really changing, but if you look back 5 years, you're like, oh my gosh, I've changed so much. Like, and people will tell you that you changed, and you're like, maybe they're just being nice or, you know, whatever. But when you look back, you can tell. And I think that if people can keep that in their mind, it'll help them stay focused. It's hard to believe sometimes when you're first getting started. And I also relate in the same way, you talking about being a skinnier kid growing up. I was a small kid, but I was also short. And so just, you know, no one looks at you when you're in those situations and immediately assumes, oh, I bet that guy's a badass, or I bet that guy's good at football, or I bet he's strong, I bet he's tough. Like, no one assumes any of those things. And as a man, we all, you know, it's nice for anyone to assume those things about us. So we want to like grab that attention. And when you never just get it from being around people, and you have to like always prove it or always find a way to show them that you are those things, you know, it can really drive you to do some deep digging in yourself, or some people probably end up shying away from everything because of it. But I think the route that we took to change that and build that confidence in ourselves is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked at the beginning about consistency being the way. I always talk about that anytime I'm talking to a potential new client. First thing I say is I've designed, like, the way I do online coaching is I try to make it as convenient for other people to stay consistent as possible. So that's my goal. More so than any personal trainer in the world. Well, 95% of the personal trainers could build a good workout program and a good nutrition program that would yield results. But it's not about how good the program is if you can't stay consistent. Mm-hmm. And then also you said, like, rather than aggressive work for a small period of time versus like consistent work for a long period of time. I break that down into working out, and I make it as simple as I can. Right now, I could work out for 24 hours and not work out again for 24 days. I'm not going to see any progress from that. Versus if I were to work out for 1 hour for 24 days, I would see progress at the end of those 24 days. It's you can only do so much to your body at a time, because you can only break down your muscle tissue so much each day before you have to recover. And anything after that is just, your body's not going to be able to recover, so you're just wasting time and increasing recovery time, or like the soreness. So yeah, it's about moving the needle just a little bit every single day.
So you mentioned being homeschooled and feeling like maybe socially that had affected you. Did you have siblings that you grew up with?
Yeah, I did. I had a younger sister and an older brother.
Were they affected in that same way? Do you feel like, is it because of homeschool? Do you think it was something within yourself?
Good question. So my sister was homeschooled for her early life, but then went to school, her high school life.
Okay.
Difficult to keep up with. I was the inverse of that. I was homeschooled through my later years, so like sophomore, junior, and senior, and then I went to school for the rest of, kindergarten through 10th grade or whatever. And then my brother went to school his whole life. He never homeschooled. He was like completely.
So all three different.
Yeah, all three of us were very different. So it's hard to say because they were all affected different ways just based on when they were homeschooled, and my brother not being homeschooled at all. But for me, I think it was before I was homeschooled. I think I homeschooled because of that, because I just could not fit in with like the other people at school. Like some people I could, but then I realized later that I was just being fake, and that wasn't really like, I didn't really care about the things I was talking about. I was just talking about it because they were talking about it and I wanted to fit in. And there was no group that when I was with them I fully connected with. It was either I was faking something or I was just the outcast, or I faked, in each group, just kind of based on where I was. So I think because I couldn't really fit in, I think that's what led me to be homeschooled. And honestly, to this day, I don't know. I'm very, very selective with friends. There's only like a very small percentage of people. I mean, literally, like I have like 2 friends that like I can consistently connect with, and other people I text from time to time, and then I have my clients that I connect with every day and things like that. But as far as like just really close, like bros, like friends, yeah, it's literally like 2, and it has been. It was 0 for a while, then 1 for a while, then like a year ago I connected with another one. But dude, once I connect with somebody, like that's it. We're bros, like for life. Like, yeah.
Man, I've felt that same way at different times in my life. When I was younger, I was a lot more like I had felt like a ton of acquaintances, and I felt like a ton of friends, right? And then I had some best friends, and I feel like it's so much harder as an adult, especially if you're focused at all on trying to be better every day, to try to improve yourself as life goes on. I feel like it's really hard to have a lot of close friends because, for one, the people that want to do what I just said is few and far between anyways. And then you have to also connect with them and mesh with them as a personality. And it just... Like some of my best friends from growing up, I mean, we just went, like as we became adults, just completely different paths. So last question on like the upbringing, for the most part on upbringing and home life, stuff like that. Would you change that? Would you go back and either do all homeschool or all schooling with other kids? And would you do public or private if you did?
Good question. And I think the reason that that's a hard question for me is because I'm going to have kids at some point. I just got married. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do for them, because I think the public school system right now is on a consistent decline. It would be private school if they go to school. My wife is in school to be a teacher, so we're considering homeschool for that reason. We like to travel. I like to be spontaneous. Like if I want to go away for a month, I like to just be able to go away for a month. Especially with what I do for a living. For the most part, I can do remote. It's all like online coaching. So my wife she's going to be either a teacher or a real estate agent. So either way, she'll have time to travel. I guess if she's a teacher, our kids will probably be in school. If she's a real estate agent, we might homeschool them. I don't think I would change anything because my parents were they put me in like a lot of places to be connected with people. I was a skateboarder, I was a swimmer in high school, I was on a baseball team, so I was I had friends. I was never like a lack of friends where I was like, oh, I need to socialize. If anything, it was like getting home at the end of the day and I was still like just like as if I was in school. For the times I was homeschooled, when I would come home, I'd be like, okay, time to myself, I'm sick of socializing. So I never think I had a lack of socialization until, if anything, it was after high school. Let me see. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't. There are some things I would change. I think I'm a lot smarter than I used to. Okay, here, I'll go if I go on a rant.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. This is the place.
Cool. So when I was younger, like early on in high school, like elementary school, like first grade, I was dyslexic, very dyslexic, ADHD, just basically I had a tougher time learning than everybody else, like significantly. And so when I was very young, I had people like bully me for not being able to read as well, or bully me because I was a little bit, like, socially, I just wasn't as with them, you know? And like I said, I just felt disconnected. But mostly it was like I didn't get good grades at first, and whenever I had to read out loud, I could barely read. So I struggled with a lot of those things, and I think through that, I sort of shifted my perspective, and I was like, okay, I would rather look like I'm not trying, and that be the reason I'm failing, rather than look like I'm trying and I'm still failing just because I'm too stupid. So I basically pretended to be stupid because I thought I was stupid, and then that led me to struggle more. And right now, like, and the reason I say that is because I went to a college where, like, it was an aircraft mechanic college, and a lot of people fail out of that, and I made straight A's, like, did really, really well. And then in everything else in life where I've been passionate, I've been able to learn really, really fast. And now, actually, as part of my online coaching, what I do is read a devotional, like read, which I couldn't do even in college. I couldn't read very well, but now I read a devotional to like 150 to 250 people live on a stream every single day, Monday through Friday, which is really ironic. Literally in college, like my first year in college, my first 3 months, I had to read. So it was a new phase in college, and my teacher would go around like popcorn read, and he would find somebody every class that read the best, and that's who he wanted to have read starting off every single day. I didn't know that, and he was doing a popcorn read just around the room, like going as like a snake through the aisles, and it got to me, or like 10 people from me, about to be to me, and I started to panic. And I lined up like what I was going to read. I counted, and I was like, okay, he's going to read that, then she's going to read that, then he's going to read that.
I used
and
to
then
do
it got
that in
to me,
school.
and I was like, okay, so I have this section to read. So I read through it like 3 times as I was waiting on it to get to me. So when it got to me, dude, I was like acting it out. I was speaking. I was like reading really, really well. And because of that, my teacher made me be the first person every single day to read. So the way I taught myself to read was throughout this class. I would come into school 15 minutes early and read what he was going to have me read. So that taught me how to read, and then taught me how to speak. And then now I'm like, a lot of my job is like public speaking. So I say all that to say I wouldn't change being homeschooled, but I would change the way I viewed my brain, because I think if I use it the right way, I can be very smart. But because I like shut it off and was like, I'm going to pretend to not try, so it won't look like I'm stupid if I fail, I think that set me up for failure. And I think I would have gone to a better college and probably got a scholarship if I would have put in that time and energy back in school. So that's what I would change.
That's a good lesson for anyone listening. Take that to heart, y'all. If y'all are in the same situation, learn from what he's saying on that. A point about your story, God brings people into our life like that for a reason, right, man? The teacher that you had that had you read, when that's what you needed, or it's something that you needed, that's just, if you would have never had that class, maybe it never would have changed. You never know how you would have like attacked it versus being kind of forced to attack it. And in the same way, I struggled with reading out loud in class, or that I hated it. I would get so nervous and read and all that. And I don't know what clicked for me. At some point in high school, it kind of changed. I don't know if it was like confidence in myself or what it was. Some point in high school, it changed for me, and I was able to like overcome it. But in college, I really, because of a teacher, a public speaking teacher, I was like, oh, here we go again. I started to get nervous again because I think I didn't know the kids, or the college kids, so I wasn't as confident around them. So I was like, oh no, I'm going back to that other feeling. But the teacher got me through it, and I had a few mess ups in class, and then I ended up acing the class at the end of it. I just became one of the best speakers in the class. And for me, just to help anyone out there who has that same issue, in the same way that you talked about, you came before class and you would read what you had to read during it. If I was put on the spot and just asked to go up in front of the class, even to this day, it's so much harder for me. It makes me so much more nervous. But if I get time to prepare, I will prepare and prepare and prepare a million times over. I know it like the back of my hand to where I can say it. And that always helped me a lot. The preparation, definitely, it'll make you more confident too. Just the more that you prepare, the more that you do speak. Force yourself to be uncomfortable so that you're comfortable in the uncomfortable. Question is, what are the 3 most important things in life to you?
Question. God, family, gym.
God, family, gym. Okay, so quick. So you knew that one kind of off the top. You have those three in your head.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so that's pretty similar to what I would say. Very, if you get the God thing right, everything else is so much easier, as you know, right? Those three things being the most important in your life, what are the three things you would attribute to you choosing those three?
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever I was in late, like really difficult time in my high school, the two things I did not have was like an outlet, and then I didn't have faith. So I had faith in nothing. If you think about, like right now, I don't know if you've been a Christian your whole life or how that kind of process, but right now, just imagine there is no God. How scary is life? We have no idea where we're going to be in 10, 15 years. I mean, just take, like, it's hard to imagine. I've had, like, with the strength of my faith that I've had for so long, but if you just take that off, dude, the weight falls on your shoulders like that. And it's like, now I have no idea what my plan is, because there is no plan, because now I'm just creating every step of the way, versus my belief system is that God has already lined everything up for me, and I just have to trust and follow that plan. And so far, that's worked out for me really well. There have been times where I've drifted off and wanted things faster and wanted things to happen faster.
We all do.
So, exactly. And so every time that happens, dude, my life sinks. And then I'm like, okay, back in God's time. And then, dude, everything gets better like that. So, yeah, that's God. The other thing I didn't have was an outlet. I didn't have anything that I was passionate about. So like I said, you got to follow God's plan. I didn't know who God was or what my plan was, because I didn't know God. And because of that, I was missing my purpose. And now I realize that my purpose given to me from God was fitness and to help other people who struggle with getting in shape, which is why I love this brand that I'm not totally, if you can cut this if you want, no promotion.
Go ahead.
But the reason for this brand, and I can even use my tattoo rather than the company logo if you want to, but it is a cross with a barbell. So those were the two things at 18 years old that completely saved me. So when I found the brand as a customer, that's instant. And then so everything kind of fell into place from there, where it was like, okay, that's what I'm going to grow. And like, that's what I'm going to work towards. And so yeah, anyways, promise that was not for promotion. That really dive really into my story. The faith and the fitness thing. And then family, I mean, you have to have family. I think of family as, that is my circle. It's everybody that I want to support. Basically, I won't ever buy anything for myself that is excessive until I know every single person in that little circle is fed and fed well. So that's who I would define as like my family.
All three just can't beat those reasons, man. All three great reasons that you picked those three things, and I think they're three great choices. In the same way that you said that the weight comes off of you when you give it all to God, that's a lot of people in my life, and I've said this before probably on a podcast, I can't remember. I've said it before on my social media. A lot of people that know me personally, like, I'm so optimistic. I'm like a pure optimist. And sometimes when things are even going bad, I'm still just so optimistic that it almost rubs people the wrong way, or they kind of almost, some people get annoyed by it, or they just like, it seems like they're in their head, it's almost like they're just like, life can't be that good. Like, you know, things, this is bad over here, this is bad over there. And they sometimes have asked me in the past, just like, how are you so happy all the time like that? But to me, it's like what you said about the weight coming off of you. Just think about how free it feels to, like, yeah, we still all get stressed about life, but if we're really doing what we should as Christians, a lot of stress, it's just gone when you really give it to God. Not just say, God, I hope God helps me through this, or pray about it, but really give it to Him. You feel so light and you feel so free, and it is easier to be happy. And that people that I know that struggle with being happy, I just wish, like, I try to explain it to them, but I just wish they could feel it. And then I know that they would just fully give it everything if they would give it a chance to feel it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I want you to, this is a Tony Robbins thing. You mentioned being optimistic. I love this analogy for optimism.
Okay.
And you may have seen it before, so if you have, you can stop me and we can just talk about it. But
maybe the viewers haven't.
I want you to look around your room right now and look at everything that is black.
There's a lot of, the walls are painted black, but But
Okay. Do blue. Anything blue in the room?
Yeah.
Look for anything blue.
Okay.
Okay. Got it?
Uh-huh.
See a lot of blue stuff?
Yeah, couple blue things.
Cool. What all did you see that was red?
I didn't.
Well, you weren't looking for it. So optimism is what you're looking for. If you're going through life saying, man, my life is great. I don't know how everything is so great. Everything falls into place. I love my family. I get to live in this nice house. Everything's phenomenal. All you're going to see is good. But if you look around your house and say, you got to justify the reason that you have guilt, or you have to justify the reason you're upset with yourself, or justifying the reason to have that victim mentality, you're looking for things to judge, you're going to find it. But if you're looking things to be grateful for, you're going to find it. And also, I don't know if you know this, but anxiety and gratitude can't coexist in your mind at the same time. So you literally cannot have both. So if you're grateful for something, you cannot be anxious. And if you're anxious, you cannot be grateful. So if you're constantly looking for things to be grateful for, your anxiety falls away.
That's a good point. I did not know that, but it makes a lot of sense, though. So if someone is feeling anxious, they can know, hey, I'm not being grateful right now. I need to get back to being grateful. Thank God
for everything in your life that you have, and anxiety goes away.
I love that, man. I think that's good, and that'll be. I'm definitely going to clip that. That's going to be one of the things that I post. I think that's a great analogy and all of that, and we'll give some credit to Tony Robbins as well. Okay, so at this point in the podcast, it's kind of the middle, getting closer on the back end of it, but it's a game that we play where I'm going to give you a bunch of different sets of two things, and you can't explain why, but you've got to pick which one you would pick. Okay. So the first one is kind of funny. I just made it a little a gym edition. So either curling in the squat rack or lateral dumbbell raises right in front of all the dumbbells.
Man. Curling.
Okay, curling in the squat rack. All right. Big dogs or small dogs?
Small dogs.
Okay. Small dogs. Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor?
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather. Okay. NFL or NBA?
NBA.
Hunting or fishing?
Fishing.
Candy or chips?
Candy.
CrossFit or powerlifting?
Powerlifting.
Dry scoop your pre or sip it throughout your entire workout? Like you have to just consistently
sip
it. Dry scoop.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like
in your car when your ears start itching. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a little bit of a tease to sip it throughout the whole thing. Then you don't get the big boost, but yeah, dry scooping, dude. How about this? My mom will dry scoop some pre. My mom is hardcore, dude.
That's awesome.
Okay, Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Captain Crunch?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Batman or Iron Man?
Iron Man.
Sam Sulek or the Liver King?
Sam Sulek.
Okay. TikTok or Vine?
TikTok.
That one hurt my soul.
I know.
A week on the beach with no phone or a week in the mountains with your phone?
A week on the beach with no phone.
Okay. All right.
Wait, that was the option, or did I flip on?
No, you got it. Yeah, you said week on the beach with no phone?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I couldn't. It would have to be the mountain because of my work, but if it were up to like what I wanted, yeah.
Yeah, which one you would choose if you could. Okay. Yeah, so the game's done. So we've got one more topic, a few more questions, and then we'll wrap. All right, so this topic's kind of based around the future. So right now, if you could pick any city and you had to uproot from where you are, pick any city, uproot, and go, and have everything the way you want it, which city would you choose?
Naples, Florida.
Naples, Florida. Is that where y'all are kind of where y'all are looking, or is that farther in Florida? I'm not familiar.
Well, I mean, the Florida, we have no idea. That's like long term, probably. But Naples, Florida is where we had our honeymoon. My wife and I, when we first met, she lived in Tampa, Florida. Okay. And so I went down there to stay with her, and she had a college that she went to for a very small period of time in Naples. And it was like 2 hours from her parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
So on the day she had classes, we would have to go to Naples, Florida, and stay in like a hotel for a couple days, literally because we were long distance, and that was the only way we could hang out, was for us to go to her parents' house while I had a break from like work or whatever, and then we would have to go to Naples for school during the week, and her parents for on the weekends. So we were in Naples, and I fell in love with the place, the people there. It's like Miami, but rather than being like a big party city, it's more like retired older people, very slow life. I'm a big fan of cars, so very nice cars.
I bet there's money out there, huh?
Oh yeah, it's very expensive. I mean, we were in like a 1,200 square foot house that was like 1.1 million. Like, it's incredibly expensive. Yeah, and I mean, that was for our honeymoon, so it was that we actually got a very good deal. It was only like $250 a night, which is absurd for how expensive that house is now.
Wow. Sounds like a beautiful place. And I'm sure in comparison, because it's not a party city, you could probably find, like you said, some better prices if you're just visiting versus like a Miami or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. It was like the house that we were in, somebody had bought like 4 years ago for like $300,000, but now it was worth like 1.1 million. So the housing definitely skyrocketed there recently. In 2024, what would you say is your biggest goal in within this year?
Great question. I'm very, very passionate about what I do, so to continue to grow the business that I'm working on right now. I'm younger than you. I just moved out, like, last year was my first year, like, on my own with my wife. So this is our second year, so kind of correct some of the stupid beginner mistakes that we made last year. Probably, and just focus on growing the business. That's it. That's a good one. Man, I'm an old head at this point. I know what you're talking about, though. We all had those mistakes. I'll turn 31 in March. Okay, nice. Dirty 30, man. All right, so last question of the pod, and maybe a quick answer. Not sure. So, what age do you want kids? If you do, how many do you want? I think Steve Harvey said that women have an age clock. I think he said men have a biological clock. So I do want kids. I think I want 3, and then I want to foster as many kids as we can afford to foster, just because we need it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so that would be my goal. As far as age, it's more of a... I think he said women have a biological clock, men have a financial clock. I think that's what it was. Okay. So I have certain financial goals. I would like to own a home before, and then just with what I do because it's obviously very volatile. It's business and all. Like, if you don't work, you don't eat, kind of thing. So once that becomes very, very consistent, and my wife's career is established, because she's in school right now, but she may end up being a real estate agent after graduating versus what she's in school for. So once that's kind of established, then I think I want to have kids. But I never ever want our kids to worry about anything whenever they're young. Like, I want them to know they're going to have toys on Christmas. I want them to know they're going to have food when they need it. I never want them to have to worry. So I want to deal with all the difficult stuff in life and get everything established before bringing them in. And that way, when they're here, all I have to worry about is them. Also, I don't want to be working 16-hour days like I sometimes do right now whenever I have kids, just because I want to be there for them as much as possible. And I want to be able to travel with them and show them the world and stuff like that. So once I feel like I can provide the kid with my dream life, or with the life that I dream for them, I think then I'll be ready. I think that's smart. And I've seen the video you're talking about with Steve Harvey, and I agree with it. I agree with what you're saying. I feel the same way. Obviously, I'm, like you said, I'm quite a bit older than you, and I didn't even expect it to be this age and not have kids yet. But I wouldn't have wanted them before I was ready financially and mentally. Just that's my number one goal in life, outside of just
of being the man God wants me to be, which this kind of goes along with that, is I want to be the best husband and best father that I can be. So I want to be in the right place, with everything in life to give them what they need and not feel like I can't provide and I rushed into something like that,
100%. Absolutely.
Well, that wraps it, man.
Cool.
That wraps it.
Very fun.
Yeah, me too. So what? So social media, I'll put it on the screen and whatnot. But what are your tags? Where do you want people to go follow you or check you out?
Yeah, just my Instagram, Coach by Branden. Yeah, nothing fancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate it. It was a good time, bro. Hope you have a good rest of your day. I know I've got a busy one, but yeah, I hope it's a good one.
Cool, man. You too. Thank you.
All right, bro. Take it easy.
All right. You too. Bye.